Hello, everybody, and welcome to the War Room. This one is for this UFC's main event between Aspen Ladd and Norma Dumont. Okay, so originally this was Norma Dumont taking on Holly Holm at featherweight. Holly Holm's withdrawn due to a knee injury. Aspen Ladd was matched up with Macy Chasson a week or two ago, and she missed weight. The fight was cancelled. She's now taken this short notice fight to replace Holly Holm up a weight class at featherweight. So, couple of interesting things about that. One thing is Aspen Ladd has always kind of struggled with the scales. I know we always have different reasons as to why, but that's something that, it's not the first time it's happened, and she always looks drained on the scales. She never looks particularly healthy. I'm hoping that Aspen Ladd at featherweight will look better, look physically more healthy, even though I don't necessarily think it's the right weight class for her. Norma Dumont on the flip side, so she was undefeated coming into the UFC. So let's just have a quick look through their records. So Norma Dumont, 4-0 coming into the UFC, 2 first-round rear naked chokes and a couple of decisions. She comes in and she fights Megan Anderson straight away. And she spends the first sort of 3 minutes trying to take her down, wasn't able to take her down, and then walks onto a clean right hand. She's now racked up 2 more decision wins since then, a real dominant win over Ashley Evans-Smith, and then the split decision over Felicia Spencer. On the flip side, Aspen Ladd, again, coming into the UFC undefeated. So we've got a first, second, and third round finish with ground and pound, an armbar finish over Amanda Bobby Cooper, and a decision win over Sajara Eubanks, which was the fight that got her into the UFC. Then she took on Lena Landsberg and Tonya Evinger, both stopping them in the first and second round. Second round for Landsberg, first round for Evinger, both with ground and pound. Then she rematched Sajara Eubanks and won a decision. So, she's 7-0 going into that fight against Jermaine Durandamy, which was a 16-second knockout for Durandamy. She walked her straight onto a right cross. And then, she's returned to pick up another win over Yana Kunitskaya. So 1 loss on each of these fighters' records. There's a similarity in the loss as well. Unfortunately for Aspen Ladd, her fight was only 16 seconds, but she walked onto a cross. Same thing with Norma Dumont against Megan Anderson, but she was able to spend 3 minutes trying to ground the fight before she walked onto a cross. So there is a risk in both of these fighters walking onto a power punch. If I focus on Aspen Ladd for a moment, she's got a bit more of a reckless style. She doesn't use her footwork very well. She tends to just kind of walk forward, one foot in front of the next. She walks through a lot of shots to land her own shots. You'll see her head snapping back over and over again. Sajara Eubanks was able to land good shots on her all the way through the fight. Just wasn't really able to hurt her. On the flip side, Norma Dumont's got good footwork. She switches stances quite comfortably. She moves laterally very well. She's not at a rush to cover distance. She's far more measured in her striking skills. And I feel like if I'm Norma Dumont coming into this, I'm going, okay, Aspen Ladd's most likely going to want to clinch. She's going to want to grapple. She'll probably most likely want the fight on the floor where she can take top position and work ground and pound. So if I'm Norma Dumont, I'm using my wrestling defensively in this fight, and I'm going to force Aspen Ladd to walk onto my shots. Because Aspen Ladd's going to keep moving forward. So with Norma Dumont, she doesn't have to go looking for the fight. If she wants to clinch or she wants to level change and put this fight on the floor, then that forward momentum of Aspen Ladd will make it easier. But even better if she can set it up by, lighting Aspen Ladd up on the way in and distract her with boxing to level change. Because, like I said, Dumont has better footwork and I would say better striking. She's also going to be the bigger fighter in this one. If we just have a quick look through the stats. So she's got a height and reach advantage by 1 inch, Norma Dumont. She's the more natural featherweight of the two as well. So I expect her to be physically stronger, but also confident that she is going to have that physical advantage. She's also 5 years older as well, so she's got that kind of that more mature strength that we've not seen Aspen Ladd develop as of yet. Even though she is very physically imposing on the inside. When they clinch, their games are quite similar. They both have really good head position. They both like a body lock, and they like to use trips and reaps. Aspen Ladd's a bit more aggressive with her takedowns, and she will adapt from one takedown to the next to make sure the fight lands on the floor. Whereas Dumont, she does tend to get a bit stuck with trips and reaps, and if that's not working, that's when it starts to come apart, as we saw against Megan Anderson. Striking output is high for both fighters, 5.22 for Aspen Ladd compared to 4.98. Strikes absorbed per minute, this is what I was talking about, considerably higher for Aspen Ladd. She walks onto a lot of shots unnecessarily, and if she had better footwork, she'd be a lot more difficult to hit. But you know that she's always moving forward towards your center line, so it makes it easier for opponents just to stick an arm out and keep walking her onto that jab. I feel like Norma Dumont's going to be quite calculated in that range, and it's going to be difficult for Aspen Ladd to get close to her without taking shots. Once Ladd does get close to her, then they're clinched up, and then it's much more of a 50-50 fight. I do think Aspen Ladd's going to look healthier at featherweight, but I still think Norma Dumont's going to be the physically stronger fighter in the clinch. Dumont also has 100% takedown defense. Now, she's not loads of fighters have tried to take her down. I think Ashley Evans-Smith tried once, and I think Felicia tried a couple of times. She's got good takedown defense. If she denies the first 2 attempts from Aspen Ladd, though, it's not going to discourage her. She's going to have to keep working to keep this fight on the feet. 75% takedown accuracy for Aspen Ladd as well, which is very high, but that also shows her persistence with the takedown attempt. You know, she will continually chase that. And then, as we know with Aspen Ladd, you know, she's got she attacks with submissions a lot more than Norma Dumont does. Even though Dumont's got the rear naked choke wins, the circumstance in which that happens, I feel like, is if she catches Aspen Ladd on the way in and hurts her and drops her and jumps on her back and chokes her, or if Aspen Ladd starts to shoot and get tired and she starts getting lazy in her shot, then Dumont might be able to take her back, you know, off a sprawl or whatever. No doubt Aspen Ladd wants this fight on the feet. I think on the floor. I think the more time she spends on the feet, the more she's going to look out of her depth. I think the more shots she's going to take and the more frustrated she's going to get and the more at risk she'll be because she'll become more reckless. If she can get this fight to the floor and she can take top position, then, you know, that's where Aspen Ladd does the best work. And that terrifying screaming that she does when she's ground and pound as well is enough to scare a lot of fighters, including me. I feel like Aspen Ladd is going to be confident coming into this fight because she's going to feel fully charged from not having to cut too much weight. I still think she's going to have to cut a bit to make featherweight, but still. She won't be as exhausted looking on the scale. She'll feel fresher. That will add to her confidence. But that confidence can be shaken if she starts walking onto shots and nothing's coming from it. She doesn't mind taking a shot if she's landing a shot at the same time. But I feel like Dumont's footwork is good enough to keep her out of danger. And I feel like her takedown defense is good enough to keep Aspen Ladd on the feet. It's an interesting fight. It's an interesting fight. Norma Dumont puts herself in a situation with 3 wins in the featherweight division where, you know, the only real logical step then would be to rematch Megan Anderson and try and get that one back. But, you know, she's well on the way to a title fight with, you know, 7 fights on her record. This will be the 8th. Aspen Ladd, there's not a great deal to gain from beating Aspen Ladd. It would be another win on her record. Whereas if Aspen Ladd comes in and beats Norma Dumont, then she takes a lot of that momentum that Dumont starts to gather at featherweight. And we might even see Aspen Ladd just decide to stay at featherweight and continue not fighting the scales and focus on dealing with the opponents. But again, bantamweight, I feel, is the right weight class for her. And I think if we stood Aspen Ladd next to Megan Anderson, you're going to start seeing the differences between the 2 weight classes. I think I've covered it all. Have I missed anything? Striking accuracy, striking defense is much higher from Norma Dumont. Like I said, 67% compared to 46%. I think that's the story of this fight. If I'm Norma Dumont, I'm defending these takedowns, I'm forcing this fight on the feet, and I'm going to try and walk Aspen Ladd onto shots. If I'm Aspen Ladd, I've got to close this fight down, get it to the floor as quickly as possible, be tenacious with those takedown attempts, and then have a fast-paced progression on the floor where she can smother and ground and pound without really having to hold on to any positions. Because if she's trying to clamp on and her opponent's stronger, she's going to lose those positions quicker. The one other thing I will say as well is with Aspen Ladd, when she fought Sajara Eubanks, she was taken down the first round. Sajara Eubanks is a good grappler, and Aspen Ladd was able to reverse those positions, take her back, start to threaten the rear naked choke. I do feel like Aspen Ladd is a good grappler, but I also feel like that could be completely nullified if Dumont just keeps this one on the feet, which I think she's capable of doing. Anyway, should be a good fight. I'll catch you next time.